The best classrooms are built on something far deeper than rules, far deeper than grades, and far deeper than curriculum. When you think about that, rules have the ability to control, grades have the potential to motivate, and curriculum has the ability to inform. But not a single one of those can create an engaged learner in a classroom. So what is it? What are the elements of a classroom that creates engaged learners? Well, that's what I want to unpack for you today, and I'm going to give you 3 anchors. They're very simple, they're very basic, and yet they're very profound. So let's go look at them. Very first anchor is that of identity. And I know that that seems extraordinarily obvious, except it's not really obvious. But you got to know the names of your students. And I say it's not all that obvious because after 2 decades in education, I have watched multiple teachers go weeks, months, and even into part of the second semester and not exactly know the names of their students. They're still pointing at them, asking them what their name is, or they're saying, "Hey, you over there, what's going on?" Or they just simply have not engaged the student in a way that says, "Hey, I can see you." So the very first thing that we have to do if we want to have an engaged classroom is we have to engage our students as individuals and not treat them as invisible. When we acknowledge our students as individuals, this is a very simple step. And what it says is, hey, you belong here and I respect you. And this very step is the very thing that causes students to feel seen and that they are valued. And without it, they believe that they're invisible. And that's not a good thing. The second anchor is that of authenticity or vulnerability. Students can spot a fake a mile away. I don't know how they do it or what gives them their intuition, but they know when their teacher is not real. And so here's the best thing that you and I can do in front of our students is, number one, admit it when we don't know. A lot of times we try to act like we know everything, and when in fact we really don't. And guess what? They know that. The second thing that we can do is admit when we are wrong. And I know that that's extraordinarily hard, but you know what? We got to say sometimes we don't see things right or we didn't understand properly. I can remember a few years ago, one of my students, she'd gotten a referral and she came to me and she wanted to talk to me about it. And I just blew her off. I said, you know what? You just need to learn to listen to what your teacher says and do what she says. And you got to stop all this talking back and trying to do this and that and the other. And she got extraordinarily mad at me. And she came back to me the next day and she said, Mr. Miller, I was trying to explain something to you and I just wanted you to hear me. I didn't want to make excuses or anything like that. I just wanted you to hear what I had to say. And you didn't do that. Now, that bothered me. And the reason why is because I spent years trying to build a relationship with this student. In a moment, I nearly destroyed it. And so the very next day, I went back to her and I sat down with her and I said, listen, I want to tell you that I'm sorry because you're absolutely right. I did not listen to you and I don't want to do anything that's going to destroy our relationship. And I looked her straight in the eyes and I said, would you forgive me? And she looked at me and she paused for a minute and she says, Mr. Miller, you're forgiven. And that one act has created more leverage in her life and more value in our relationship than anything that I have ever done as a teacher in the life of a student. You got to be vulnerable. Admit when you're wrong. So if we haven't met yet, my name is John, and if you've gotten any value out of this video, go ahead and hit the bell down there and subscribe and follow along with us, but also go down to the description box because there's all kinds of free resources down there, and we want to give them away to you because we want to help you restore joy to the classroom, one teacher at a time. The third anchor is that of partnership or cooperation. Classrooms thrive when students share responsibility, whenever they feel like they belong or that they have a role in that classroom. And I know that whenever I was young back in the 80s trying to work my way through school, that the sage on the stage or the lecturer was the primary way that students were taught back in those days. But that doesn't seem to work nowadays. Our students seem like they want to be a little bit more engaged, a little bit more hands-on. And so we have to find a way to make it possible for them to be a part of what's going on in the classroom. Because at the end of the day, the classroom is a community. And if all students do is sit and listen to the person up front, that's not a community. The best thing that we can do is find responsibilities for them or to give them roles in the classroom. Some teachers like to let their students get up and teach. And I think that that's an excellent idea because at the end of the day, they can experience what it feels like to be us whenever the kids don't want to listen, right? What this does is ultimately it gives them a little bit of ownership, and it says that, hey, this classroom belongs to me and that this classroom is a community and I'm a part of this community and I'm an important part of the community. And the cool thing is that whenever students begin to take ownership of the classroom and of the community, it transforms their behavior and it turns it into buy-in. One of the things that we talk about here at Teacher Talk is the fact that we're a faith-forward community. And I'm reminded right at this moment that Jesus said that my sheep hear my voice and they know it. And what that tells us is that true transformation begins with recognition and through relationship. When we anchor our classrooms in identity, vulnerability, and partnership, we go beyond the idea of just trying to manage a classroom, and suddenly we become a leader of a classroom. Because at the end of the day, we're not managers at McDonald's. Rather, we're teachers, and we're trying to impact and change the lives of young human beings. As a result, we have to take our classrooms and we have to turn them from places of compliance to places of growth. Here's the paradox about everything that I've said is that absolutely nothing I've said has anything to do with academics, except it has everything to do with academics, because nobody can learn when they don't feel valued. Nobody can learn when they don't feel seen. Everybody learns inside of a community, and a community has to be cultivated. Everything that we've talked about today, when cultivated, will create an engaged atmosphere in the classroom where students have the ability to learn at a high level, because human connection is the gateway to human achievement. And so it's always 100% of the time, connection over content, culture over content. Culture and connection is greater than content every single time, but the two, culture and connection, will always lead to student growth. I have no idea where you're at on your journey, but if we've added any value to you whatsoever, go ahead and subscribe and go down to our description box, get all of our free resources down there, and we hope that they'll help you because we're trying to restore joy to the classroom, one teacher at a time. And by the way, it looks like YouTube wants you to watch one of these two videos up here. So go ahead and click on them and check them out, and stay strong and keep teaching.